Hey, this is Learn With Me, where I tried to write a subgenre of music that I've not tried to write before. Today I'm in my home studio and I'm going to try to write synthwave. Characteristics are usually big analog sounding drums, deep bass lines, arpeggiated synth lines and gated reverbs, all heavily inspired by the 1980s and early 1990s. Artists such as Synthwave Goose, Truise, Kavinsky, Sung and Punker are just some of the artists I've been listening to for inspiration. I'll be using Ableton Live for this session. Let's get into it. The tempo in synthwave really ranges. It can be 80 to up to 140 in some cases, but I'm going to stick with 100 BPM for this. Usually I'm always starting with drums, but for this one I'm going to start with a synth line, and I kind of want like an arpeggio type synth line, and I'm thinking about getting on the OP-1 for this initially. Right, go to our tempo and put that up. Oh, we're already at 100. That's ideal. Go back to synths. Go back to the arpeggiator. Increase this. Cool. So we're using 18th triplet notes, and I'm actually going to use tap tempo for this. So let me just quickly get the click going. So I'm going to turn off the delay that's on the OP-1. Like that. Okay, let's try record that in. Cool. Let's just loop that. I'm going to duplicate the OP-1 channel, and let's see what else we can come up with while we've got the OP-1 set up. I'm just going to keep this looping around. It's already set to loop. Let's see what else we can come up with. And let's put the OP-1 on an octave higher. Okay, I like that, but I want to try a different sound. Repeats up a little bit, and then delay. And put the decay up as well. yeah, something like that I think would be really cool. I'm basically going to get all this looping for quite a while and just jam along. Pretty happy with that. While I'm set up, I'm also going to bring in the Korg. Let's get some bass in here. I wanted to use the Moog, but my MIDI controller isn't working, unfortunately. Let's firstly try find a nice sound. I'm just going to go through the presets and then alter the sound if we need to. Quite like that sound for the initial build up. And I'm just using the cutoff filter to really bring out that high end. Okay, let's try record that. Oh my f. So we've got the initial bass line down from the Korg. I was thinking about using the Moog, but I did have some trouble with my MIDI controller right there for some reason. But I think the Korg worked out quite nicely there. So now we've got these parts, I'm going to bring in some drums. I'm going to use the 909 kit. And let's just bring in a nice kick drum on the 1 and the 3. Maybe at that point, we start to increase the kick so it's on every beat. What I'm going to do is add some reverb to all 3 of these actually, and I'm going to use the old trusty Baby Audio spaced out. Let's start with the second OP-1 take that we did. Let's solo this. So on the left side, we've got a delay. Let's switch that off. On your right side, you've got your reverb. And let's go with this is like room size. I'm putting that on outer space, meaning the space is very big. Yeah, I like that. I'm going to copy that over and also put it on the bass line, actually, that we got from the Korg. And I'm also going to use this Super VHS that's also by Baby Audio and pop this on there. And they have this great magic button which widens the signal. So let's put that on. So the great thing about this plugin, it's kind of the three-in-one system. You've got your heat, which is this kind of an overdrive. You've got wash, which is a reverb, and you've got drift, which moves the pitch slightly up and down. So you get that kind of slightly out of tune effects, and it kind of waves back in. So if I push that all the way up on here, you can hear that. It kind of gives you that kind of VHS sounding thing. So I'm going to have a little bit of that on there as well. And I also want to put a bit of a high cut on that bass line too. Yeah, that's better. I'm going to quantize some of these notes. I'm also going to put that Super VHS on this lead part as well. Maybe put the drift up slightly a bit more. I'm also going to put the high cut on that as well, and I'm going to automate it so the high end slowly comes in as the song progresses. What I'm also going to do is compress the Korg and sidechain it with the kick drum, and I'm going to use glue compressor with that. So you click sidechain, and I want the input to be the 909. And if we push the threshold down, this is how much the signal is affected by the input of the kick. So, and you've got this handy gain over here as well, so you can actually amplify the input of the 909 into the compressor. So if you increase that, you get a bigger impact. Cool, and with the arpeggio, I want to hear that solo. I'm going to put a low cut on that arpeggio that we have on the OP-1. In fact, let's copy this over to the other OP-1 part as well. I'm just messing around with the placement of this kind of OP-1 lead, so then I like the idea it drops out after these 16 bars. So here, with this kind of drop in, I then want to bring in a snare. What I want to do is keep the snare separate on a separate channel, because a big sound that you get in synthwave is the gated reverbs, and usually you get them on the snares. So firstly, let's try find a snare that we like. Well, I like the 707 snare on the 2 and the 4. To do the gated reverb, first we want to put a reverb on there. And I'm going to use the Baby Audio spaced out reverb again because it's a very big sound. And delay off. That sounds big. Now what we need to do is add the gate. And what you'll see is you've got this threshold, and if I play the track, you'll see the waveform will come up. And what we're going to do is lower the threshold, so just that tip. And if we push a hold up, you're getting that effect now where that reverb is stopping cold. And that's how you do gated reverb. What I'd really like to have is a very pulsy, arpeggiated bass line. So I'm going to get back on the Korg now. Also, what I want to do is find a different sound now as well. Oh, that's perfect. Perfect. Okay, so I want to deactivate the reverb once we get to this section, so it's a lot cleaner. I think what I'd also like to do is add a little bit of distortion to that bass line. Let's get the built-in overdrive in Ableton and see what we can come up with. I'm also going to quantize this as well because my playing wasn't like, it was a little bit loose in places. I think I want to look at the drums a bit as well. Let's make this a 16-bar loop. And then let's add a crash into that very first initial kick in. Cool, so we've got some closed hi-hat in there and a crash when it first comes around. And I've lowered the velocity of the hi-hat as well. Once we get halfway through this section, I'm going to change those closed hi-hats to maybe open hi-hats. So I think now, the second part, I want to bring in another lead part as well. So, turn the arpeggio off. Cool. Yeah, I like that sound. Let's play the track and see what we can come up with. That's cool, right. Let's record that. And I want that to come in when that open hi-hat comes in as well. In fact, let me just double check I've got that. I like the idea it starts like that and I'm slowly... Cool, I really liked that. I'm noticing that the drums aren't very powerful at the minute, and that's a big part of synthwave. So I'm going to work on them and get them sounding really big. Let's firstly solo them together. So I'm going to add, it's the plugin I use, I'm pretty sure I've used it in every video, is the Waves Magma BP Tubes. And this is just like a tube saturation. Yeah, the kick is bugging me a little bit. Maybe we need to change that kit. I like that kick in that kit, so I'm going to switch out that 909 with the Stark kit. I'm also going to put the tube saturator on the snare as well. Cool. And then for the bits before, I'm going to lower the velocity a little bit so it's not so hard hitting. I'm actually going to add a high cut on that kick actually as well for this very first section. Then for this final drop, the high cut switches off. What I now want to do is the new OP-1 part we just recorded. I want to bring it out a little bit more. Let's add some heat to it from the Super VHS. And also, let's push the drift up so we get that slightly out of tune effect that kind of warps in tune and out of tune. So we've now got this little drop down. I'm just going to keep that bass line on that one note. In fact, I'm also going to loop the arpeggio, the OP-1 arpeggio section as well. Crossfade these in a little bit so that transition's a little bit smoother. Okay, so we've got like a little bit of a mid-late kind of interlude section here, but I think we need to put something else over it. So I'm going to go back on the OP-1 and let's just find some really weird sounds that we can throw in there. Oh yeah, that's perfect. Okay, let's just try to record something in. Yeah, I liked that. That was cool. Right, let's sort this out. Because I did a little bit at the end as well that we can kind of fade out. What I'm going to do is add Baby Audio's Super VHS on this new part. And put Magic on, which widens the signal, and then maybe push Drift up as well. So we get that kind of warbly kind of tape effect. Put Wash Up, which is the reverb. I'm also going to bring that high cut in on the drums again for this section. Actually, I feel like we need a bit of a low cut for this as well. It's very subby, which kind of works in the intro, but not so necessary here. What I want to do is bring the drums with the open hi-hat in first now, and then I'm thinking when the lead comes back in, the OP-1 lead, we then maybe go to 16th on a closed hi-hat. I wonder how it sounds if we pitch shift the original OP-1 arpeggio part we recorded, and if we pushed it an octave up. A little bit of a mess, but I wonder in context that might work. With this last repeat of the bass, I want to dirty it up a little bit and thicken it up. And I think the best way of doing that is adding Isotopes Trash 2 onto it. And Trash 2 is like a distortion, it's got like delay built in, it's got a bit of a compressor, it's got all sorts of really cool effects. I like that, that's pretty cool. And what I'm going to do is automate the mix level, maybe have it fade in slightly, and then for this very one it comes in quite quickly. And then for the outro, these last few snare hits, and what I'm going to do is automate this last snare so the signal goes fully wet at the end. And that's sounding a bit weird because we've got the gate on. So let's disable the gate as well at the very end. For that second part of the chorus, I've added an offbeat hi-hat as well. I think what I'd like to do before we listen to the full thing is shorten the intro, because I think the intro is probably a little bit too long. So I probably spent about an hour and a half on that so far. I think it's a good start. We've got all the elements of synthwave in there, or at least the starting points. We've got those big drums, we've got the deep bass, we've even got some gated reverb in there and arpeggiated synths. I think with time, I'd probably add some more variation, maybe extend it, have some extra, different sections as well. Because right now we've really only got 2 sections, really. So for this final playthrough, all I've done is add the Waves GW Mixcentric, which is like a 1-knob mastering tool. I've just popped that on the mastering channel. But yeah, let's have a listen. So, there you have it. About 1.5 hours work so far. I think we ticked most of the boxes. I'm happy with that so far. I mean, it's obviously just a starting point. It's still in the demo stages. If I wasn't so hungry and needed to eat and I wanted to spend more time on this, I'd probably think about adding another section, maybe a new bass line, some new melodies in there. I think also like a vocoder voice would be cool as well. It's a really fun genre to write, and I think at some point I'd like to revisit it for sure. Either working more on this song or starting a new song from scratch. And it's so nostalgic as well. Like whenever I listen to Synthwave, it just puts me back in the 80s. Well, thanks so much for watching. I really hope you've enjoyed watching the process and watching me try to figure stuff out as well. And every video I do, I'm hoping that I will improve on my terminology and explaining what I'm actually doing, because I know sometimes that I kind of get lost in my own world. I'm still practicing talking and writing at the same time, but I'm enjoying this process and I hope you are too. Well, thank you so much for watching, and until next time.